What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of the Manchester United Fans Corner. I'm your host, Shego, and guys, it's great to be back here to discuss Manchester United. As usual, it's Monday, and we are here to discuss Manchester United. So, guys, we had an amazing game over the weekend. Man United versus Atletico Madrid, the preseason game, and I think it was very, very fantastic. I enjoyed the game. I really enjoyed the game, and there were a lot of things that we discussed in the last episode. So, if you remember the episode we did on Monday, that was last week Monday, where we discussed things that we were happy with in the preseason, things that we need to improve upon. So I can say that majority of the things we discussed in what we need to improve upon, actually we improve upon it in that Atletico Madrid game. And for me, the message is just we have to keep doing it, keep getting better at it. And I think we're going to analyze those things. As you guys, if you don't watch the episode, please watch the episode so they can understand that we've said it before and now we're just coming to expound on it or to analyze it deeper. So guys, let's jump right into it. Let's look at what we saw in that game against Atletico Madrid that I've not seen for the first two games in the preseason and why it helped us to be much better on and off the ball. So guys, let's jump right into it. Let's discuss Manchester United. So first and foremost, I think obviously preseason, it's always about how you play. Not majorly about whether you win or not, even though yes, you have to win. A club like Man United has to win, but it's majorly also about how you play. How do you approach the game? And I think I love the way we approach Atletico Madrid's game. I love the way. And as I said, when you check the last episode we did on what we have done, we have not done well, this is the approach we clamored for in that video. So if you've not watched it, please watch it. You know, we clamored for the approach. And what was the approach? Front foot. High pressing. We said it, and I think there was a point we made in the last video where we talked about the fact that how do we want to get control, as we are hearing reports that Michael Carrick wants to play controlling kind of football. How do you want to get control if you're always seated in a mid block? We analyze that. You know, because if you are seated in a mid block, your opponent has more time to come out, pass among themselves, get the rhythm, get that confidence. You know, and they might find it easy to play through you. Or they might even find it easy to play in such a way that from your mid block, you can end up going to a low block and they will pin you back and do the kind of game and play your half and play the kind of game they want to play. So we advocated that we needed to see a high pressing in this preseason. And I'm happy against Atletico Madrid. We saw a high press, but not just even a high press. I think there was an improvement on what we even clamored for in the sense of it was a high press. I think two major shapes in the high press, in terms of, for a part, it was beginning of the game. I remember it was a 4-2-4, which I said in the last video, where I said it was always a 4-2-4 whenever we want to try and be a little bit proactive in the mid block. You know, it was a 4-2-4 in the sense of you have four forwards, you have the midfielders, in this case, which was Santos and Mount, pushing up closer to the four in front, and then you have four at the back. That's the defensive line intact for the back. And I felt there were a lot of pressing triggers. So it was not as if they moved in synonym. It was like they were all almost in one line. But at a certain moment, you would see this will press, this can press. You know, there was different pressing triggers. When it is you press. So it was different pressing triggers. And I think I really like that, really. I like that because of that. And I also felt that in the pressing structure also, a certain part also, we saw there was a 4-3-3. Certain part, I think the half of the later part of the first half, I saw a 4-3-3. And I think what dictated the shape in which we used to press was how many players were Atletico Madrid using to build up. That's the simple thing that dictated how we used to press. So the plan for Michael Carrick was, we want to create overloads and stop them from building up easily. So whenever Atletico Madrid use a 3 to build up, Atletico Madrid, obviously from the basic formation, they use a 4-4-2. At certain point, they were using a 5 at the back to defend, using a 5-3-2 sometimes, 5-2-3 sometimes. You know, so whenever Atletico Madrid decides they were going to build up with 3, United went to 4-4. That's 4v3. Our 4 attackers going against the 3 that are building up to cause a numerical superiority in that zone. Whenever they decide, we're going to just do 2, let's maintain our 4-4-2 that Atletico Madrid did, let's build up with 2. United say, okay, they are building up with 2, let's go 4-3-3, let there be 3v2. So I really like the way, because it's what we clamor for. And you could see the way they pressed. See, to have control, I think this is what everybody knows, but it's better for me to say it again. A team that has control, it's not just a team that has control on the ball. I think it's also a team that decides to have control when they lose the ball. And I think that's what I love so much, in the sense of we controlled a good chunk of that game against Atletico Madrid, when we had the ball, we did the necessary things, which we are going to analyze as we go further. But we also did the necessary things off the ball. So, for example, let me explain what we did off the ball in terms of our pressing structure. Whenever we went maybe on a 4-4 in terms of trying to press and waiting and having those pressing triggers to try and poke the defensive build-up of Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid struggled at certain points because it was a 4-2 behind, covering the space and it was difficult for them. I think there was only one incident where they started getting a hang of it. There was one that there was a piercing pass through the middle, which I felt that one just entered their hand, But there was a part where they found out, okay, we cannot pass through this structure of Man United. Let's now go long. So, and I like the fact that our defenders, the likes of Heaven, the likes of Shaw, and even Maguire at some point, Euro, were very, very quick to understand that whenever they played long, which the Atletico Madrid resorted to doing, especially in the second half, whenever they decide to go long to bypass the 6 in front, the 4 defensive unit were quick to cover the space and press. And I think that was very, very good. Ultimately, we saw it at the moment where because of that was not like a high line. And I think that's very, very good. That is how you control the game on the ball and you control the game off the ball. I think that was very, very good. I think I have to give praise with that because I complained in the last video that we don't want us to see a low mid block. We want to see a high press. Don't let them build up. Because I believe it would have been a different game if we decided to sit in the mid block and allow Atletico Madrid to have the ball. I think Man United would have suffered. I felt the major reason why we caused them difficulties was because we adopted the high press and we stopped them from, we accepted the high press and we stopped them from, having those kind of situations and creating overloads so that they cannot build up properly. And I think when you look at the second goal, it came from a pressing situation. There was obviously a missed pass and those are the benefits you get in the game today. There are a lot of benefit for a football team that does a high press. And I hope we continue that because we actually get a lot of benefit. We have the players to do that. We have the Brunos, we have the Mbuemos, the Amads that can do that. There are pressing machines and Cunha that can do that. And I think Dogu obviously can do that. So Mount can do that. So we have a lot of benefit when we actually adopt the high pressing situation. So the second point for me, I think I would have to talk about Shea Lacey. I don't want to say much because I've always been saying it. I think I came across a video I did months ago where I was clamoring for, that was even under Ruben Amorim's time, where I was clamoring that Shea Lacey, when I analyzed Shea Lacey and I did an episode, you can go and watch the episode where I talked about Shea Lacey has to be kept in the hole. I said they put him in the hole. And I'm happy last video we did on analysis, I said it that I love the fact that he's in the hole. He has to be in the hole. And I also love the fact that even the first penalty that it came from him in that zone 14. And I'm really, really happy about that. I tend to want to take a different approach to what a lot of people are saying about Shea Lacey. Yeah, obviously Shea Lacey is a right winger. There's no doubt about that. But I believe, and I've said it months ago, and I'll keep repeating it, that we should start developing that guy to play in the hole. I think that guy can develop himself to be a different kind of number 10 that we've not had in a while. I think he can be like that kind of a matter player where you can use him on the wing. That's for us. You can use him on the wing. You can use him in the number 10. I really believe we're very, very good at that. But I also know that in the Premier League, which I also analyzed months ago, that obviously playing in the hole is a very, very tough sport. And you need to be quick in your thinking to make the quick decisions, which I believe he has that and he needs to improve on that. That's Shea Lacey. Quick decisions. Also, the physicality is a very, very physical side because you'll be coming across defenders, really. You're coming across defenders. If you are playing that in that play, defenders will be hacks to mark you, and defenders are physical and with the body shape. But he has quick feet, and I think you see the quick feet cause that situation where there was a penalty for us in against Atletico Madrid. But it's something that I think we should start grooming him for. Obviously, you can still play as your wing, right wing, but the qualities of him to be able to play behind the striker and that's on the right, in the center and in the left will be very, very good. I feel, and I'm very happy that at least I think he obviously will be part of the squad next season. I think he has to be part of the squad next season. He has to get the minutes, and I think because of Ahmad Mbeumo that are on the right hand side, I think we just have to just develop him and work on certain qualities for him to be a new kind of number 10 for the team. And I think we're very, very good because he can do good business in that hole. And even if he's playing on the right wing, obviously, as I said, even the last game, positional rotation is someone that can also come there. And the guy obviously has that good weight of touch to be able to deal in those tight spaces. So let's go to the next one. Obviously, the next one I'm very, very happy about this, and I have to say this because I complained. Santos as a deep line playmaker, Santos in between the two center halves. I love that. That's one of the qualities he has. If you remember the analysis we did about Santos when we bought him, where I said, for example, when you look at the second leg of Man City versus Chelsea in the Premier League, go and watch that game again if you can, and see how Santos and Caicedo frustrated Pep Guardiola's Man City in the first half because of Santos coming back to help Caicedo in building up from the back. That was a masterclass. I think when you watch that, you don't feel like, come on. And I think I like that because I complained in the previous video that I did not like the fact that Maguire was taking too much touches on the ball. I didn't like the fact that Maguire was driving the ball into certain zones. That shouldn't be Maguire's job. I don't think Maguire has the qualities to do that. And that's why you saw, for example, against Rosenborg the first time, Maguire would drive the ball into certain zones and then will now be lost and now will now turn back and now give the ball back to the defender or midfielder. Why did you carry it in the first place? And I felt for a number of moments in the game, I felt instead of Maguire pushing through, he gave the ball to Santos, he gave the ball to Mount, and I think that was very, very good. And I think and that should continue. I don't want to see Maguire taking the ball aimlessly give the ball to the midfielders. That was come up and I'm happy he did that really. I think I was very happy he did that. And I think that helped Santos to do a lot of things. I think Santos is someone that obviously I said many times I love him. Even before United was even interested in him, I've said he's a player that I think United should buy. The qualities, even the high pressing situation. There was a moment in the game where, they had bypassed our press and Santos understood that the moment for me is not to stay back and keep my shape, is to go there and that risk, but it brought the reward in terms of he went ahead, pressed, and I think the ball went out for a throw-in and he stopped that attack in that moment. I think it's very, very good. It's very, very good in that sense, and I think it was very, very, very nice. Also, his partner in midfield, you guys have been watching us for a long time, know that I always praise Mason Mount. I always praise Mason Mount. The injuries are not the issue. I've said it many times that Mason Mount makes us robust. Mason Mount makes Manchester United robust. I am tired of saying this. And there's no manager that would see Mason Mount, a fit Mason Mount, that would not use him. There's no manager. Mason Mount is just special. Look at what he did in that game. He's just an amazing player. He just helps your team be together. I hope he can just get fit. He played 90 minutes. I didn't like the fact that Mason Mount played 90 minutes in the preseason. I didn't like that fact because obviously the guy is an injury-prone player. But Michael Carrick decided to do it and the guy looked fit. All the players look fit in that, which I'm also going to praise. But for me, I just felt Mason Mount is amazing. It's amazing. There's no place you want to use him. Use him as a number 10, he will deliver. Use him in the wings, he will deliver. Use him anywhere. The guy is ready to play for the team. He's a team player. I just hope he can stay fit. I just hope he can stay fit, really. I hope he can stay fit. So let's continue about other ones. I think the next point for me about the game would be the ball retention. You watch our last video also again. I complained about it in terms of Rosenborg first half. I felt Rosenborg had the possession in certain zones. And when we received the ball, I felt the likes of Maguire, the likes of, the midfielders were too eager to want to play and create transitional moments. Where if you want to be a possession-based side, all you dare to do was to circulate the ball and get some confidence on the ball. They did that against Atletico Madrid. And I was very, very happy. I was like, this is what we want. It's not as if they decided, you've complained, we're going to fix it. Because I was very happy about the circulation in that arc. There were a lot of circulations. The likes of Dogu Shaw did very well in that circulation. I like that. The technical level of those guys on the left, I like that. Yeah, some decision making didn't really go well, but I felt that I love the technical level. I love the fact that there was a lot of possession in that arc. And when they continued to do that, they decided they had to push back Atletico backward, and Atletico was now trying to depend on transitional movements to the other guys on the left and the right. So I think I really like that. I really like that. And I think that's what we need to do. Sometimes we don't have to just always look for transitional moments. Yes, if there are good moments, you go for it. But sometimes, exact dominance on the game, let the game become yours. And I felt that at the right moment, we did that against Atletico Madrid and we caused that recirculation and we had control in those moments. So lastly, I want to say the physical condition of the players was very, very good. I was impressed with the physical condition. Third preseason match, and I feel that I thought when I was watching, I was telling my friends that 60 minutes will be okay, but they played 70 minutes. The first team played 70 minutes, and I was like, good. And they never look out of sorts. They still look, and I felt even the way they played helped them to last long. You know, when you are having the ball, passing the ball, the likes of Mount already playing 90 minutes in just the third game in preseason. That's good fitness work. That's good physical conditioning. And also the style of play also helps when you are pushing the ball. When you're not just running aimlessly, but pushing the ball, you know, pushing the ball and being in dominance and having the ball and having your triangles, your diamonds, or you're passing and having control of the ball, I think is really, really good. And I think that would also help in terms of, you know, fitness, in terms of recovery in the season, if they can continue that way. So the prayer is that let's continue that way. We're doing a lot of good things. And I think that's why a lot of fans enjoy the game, because United played the right way we should be playing. I think that was the right way we should be playing. In 2026, you have to be a team that can high press. You have to be a team that can cause damage to your opponent playing out from the back, create a high line to play in the opposition half. I think we really had good one. So I think the first two games against Wrexham and Rosenborg, there were complaints, and which we did in the previous video. But this one, I would say improvements. I think we saw a lot of good things I wanted to see. So just now, let's continue that. Let's continue that. Against PSG, let's not allow PSG build up easily. I think let's not allow them build up easily. And I think we did that same thing of not allowing teams build up easily against Liverpool in the second leg, right? In the second leg against Liverpool, we did that. I guess for the first 15-20 minutes, we didn't allow Liverpool build up, and we caused them issues. But in certain games last season, we allowed them to build up, and we just ended up sitting back in a low block. So I think it should continue. Even though I know that not every game will be where you have the opportunity to try and, you know, but the intention should be we don't want them to build up against us. And when they now build up well against us and we can't find solutions, we can go to our mid block, we can go to our low block and try to find solutions to get ourselves back into the game. But it shouldn't just be mid block, low block, and try to now give them all the ball and now depend on transitional moment. No, we should try to stop them from building up and stop them from playing. So guys, these are my opinions of the game against Atletico Madrid. We'll be watching a lot more preseason. We still have I think we still have 3 more preseason matches. If I'm not mistaken, we have PSG, we have Leeds, and then I think we have AC Milan. So guys, we'll be analyzing and trying to see the development of the team. But on the third game against Atletico Madrid, a lot of good signs, really. And even I know, I see some things we need to improve upon in terms of how do we keep possession against a side that decides to play 1v1 all over the pitch against us. I think that would be something that we also have to look at. But I think it's very, very good. The signs we've seen, and I think I'm getting more confidence that if you can continue this way, it will be very good season for Man United. So guys, let me have your opinion on this video. What are your thoughts about what I said? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let's have that discussion. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Ultimately, don't forget to share. Until I see you next time, I remember my humble self, Shegun. Bye.